Hell is the course of black and white. See pupils peer. See whites of eyes. Cipher applies. CT is cherry tree. There's a fact treatment nature racket that we fell to. The course of space. Note that there are less stars than there is black space. Note black is the absorption of absorbs colors, and white reflects all colors. Black absorbs them, and white reflects them. That's why we have black pupils and white eyes. It's tied to the only simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive value nature at the same time. The only natural system as space's identity. No, as a fact treatment nature. Because once anyone of any color tries to point out discorrelation and lies with what says that we've ever had freedom in relationship to what bodies of our nature are with standards in, a tactically denatured relationship to nature. We'll examine how the tied houses in Hartford, Connecticut, with slavery in the North and in Connecticut since before the birth of George Washington, internation sciences, forcing only England be the rhetorical face, consciously creating criminal insidious nature, juxtaposed to consciously only realize not knave fact treatment natures, fact treatments, justifications, abridged. This is why they say the Constitution is not supposed to be abridged. We'll examine the recorded motivations for the branches originally and progressed, covering up original criminal internation persuasions, recorded methods to their tied to the organized crime method that put black as a color for a trick fact for a trick fact treatment nature tricks. So this is about polarity and about nature inherent to each polarity. In demonstration of values, value nature relationship to itself, inherently, actively, and progressively, in relationship to the value of immediate active space nature, which is simultaneously inherent and progressive value unto itself. And when not allowed to be that identity here, perfect natural system, per original criminally legalized persuasions juxtaposed with overtly criminal enterprise ones and uncharged original unrealized ones, because we only let using intercampus and database relationships and only let realized needed by our stewards, all victim predators, tied to only let realized trained formally knave fact treatment natures, with brackets against correlation. So, space is in diffusion through itself as a forever nature, with and as how it's in demonstration to us, not only of positive and negative, but of its identity inherent to both positive and negative, and of its value nature relationship to itself, whereas that value was bigger than and stays bigger than progressively, inherently, actively, and progressively bigger than the phenomena of temporary space nature, which is important because of the immediate space nature value of Earth, left to right, and English is written left to right, and with Latin and Arabic is written right to left in relationship to a trinity in demonstration of what is forcing our leaders not let a quality of fact treatment to demonstrate opinions being used to self-maintain a bridge fact treatment nature that's roles with only let realize negative value nature progression as the value of our species tactically, not for money's causes, but that's manifest with and as only let realized knave fact treatment nature. natures, all employed to, invested to as light progression cover up breaching nature roles. So everyone of every color, when someone honest tries to contemplate, use correlation or in ratiocination, they get hurt fact treatment wise, and all kinds of ways. That's in demonstration of the nature of the law abridged, the nature of the Constitution abridged, and what there's a method by only let justifications that only let realized ill conviction natures. See, there's a conviction nature that is positive only one way, and it has not been that. So this is in the beginning of the Old Testament, in the beginning of the Genesis, and written in English. This is a relationship to a multi-front counter with Decipher left in the Old Testament about the Quran and about the sequence nature treatments and mistreatments of all religions in relationship to science's mistreatments of its own shared identity as the value of our nature, not let voice. Tactically not let voice. Inherently, actively, and progressively. The more someone tries to demonstrate this, see, we can't defend our police because of the identity they're only let being realized as fact treatment nature roles with and as originally forced by hundreds of nations for shared police for after only let being realized tactically engineered through to criminally re-engineered ancient revelations in nature of internation science, consciously making it criminal insidiousness nature roles altogether. Pseudo-peace, worse than pseudo-peace. Inside the body of clear value, of space, that is in diffusion through itself, as a polarity nature, which is the phenomena of the value of immediate space being positive or negative, and where space's identity will only stay positive unto itself. By gaining the value of what is positive, and by gaining the value of what is negative, inherently, actively, and progressively. Yin-Yang is revealed because the internation sciences revealed together that we are only positive. We are a temporary nature positive that is only value when it's also value, having the negative value nature as positive value nature, inherently, actively, and progressively at the same time as positive value nature. That's having the identity of space maintained positively, a positive relationship to itself here as the phenomenon of the value of overall space's ability to progress its value through the phenomenon of immediate space nature. So instead now we have top-down nature justifications as fact treatment nature. So we have predators to the maintenance of that too, of naive reactions to and of tactically ill glorifications of notions of education and of notions of morality, not letting correlation speak. And that's what forgiveness is for too, because this is the criminal insidious nature roles by a tactically ulterior value nature system. So inside the body of clear, the rainbow shows. There's all the colors are inside white and black. A clear body inside a clear body of value. Our identity is a clear body of value, inherently, actively, and progressively bigger than ourselves. Science reveals this because ourselves also had our identity as it was when it was a baby. It also has it as an inherent, active, and progressive value, even once after we're gone. But it has to. This is all together, as groups, as nations, groups, or or even couples, and as individuals, this system works all ways, because what is natural is a correlation nature. So you can't say what is this is not natural, but through criminal persuasion, this is not natural system. But fact treatment natures will only let justify ill convictions with each science categorically, sequentially, in relationship to rackets, with only let realized ages of fact treatment nature, in relationship to the glorifications of pseudo-education, recorded, but through correlation. That's why correlation is motivated, actively sabotaged by fact treatment styles, only let realized, needing to cover up lies, delusions, premises, and criminal intonation persuasions, especially legalized ones. Justification natures as breaching nature. The law demonstrates that what was stacked in, I'm not even a lawyer, this correlation, this is the value of a predicate, positive, inherent, actively and progressively onto itself, identity. And note that it is shared by the subject and by the verb, and this is how we read. Adam is the subject, and Eve is the verb. We're looking for the subject. If there's a one-word sentence that's a verb, we're looking for the value nature and the value relationship to it has to itself. When a main verb is not used as a main verb, its nature becomes a participle nature or an infinitive nature, which we're looking for identity of value, which is shared between all. But so we have to understand this is inherently, actively, and progressively. This is the value of what we write, of what we read, of our fact treatment nature, a polarity nature and demonstration of the only simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressive course. So when someone says that it's unnatural, they're right. When they make trick fact treatment nature, just to say, oh, it's natural, that, oh, that's, it's because we're on a tactically ulterior from natural value nature system that has only let realize, let progression, cover up breaching natures, needing to pretend, not just to believe through real sciences, needing to pretend individually, misprision, and top-down, buying as the nature of the suit and ties with nations, fighting each other as knaves, tactically pseudo-educated, tactically ulterior from actual identity as positive onto itself, as the value of our body of value, nature. So, this is black. This is the course of every color. This is the course, one. And it's only natural one way. Because only one way is nature's system. See, this is what has the choice to force other is just positive's just going to force itself to progress somewhere else, because the identity of that is greater than what is semi-nature relationship to itself is only going to progress positive value nature and negative value nature as positive onto itself. That's why it has a polarity nature. It shifts. It has a relationship to itself no matter what body it's in. If something's positive onto someone's inherent identity, actively and progressively, it's also positive onto every other body of that identity, and also in correlation with and as the value of every other thing by another system, by space's identity system. We have a clear body of value greater than the body of our in demonstration of this as a system, identity as a system, as a value nature relationship to itself, as a fact treatment nature. So we, as a conviction nature, but you have to understand what is inherent and progressive too. as a correlation nature. Otherwise, you're just a conviction nature, and you're wrong. In other words, there are proofs that habeas corpus laws needed are just overcome by the same way that we have recorded formal criminally influenced fact treatment rackets preventing and cultivating it denied every surface value of the Constitution. And what does that needs to pretend morality as trained to pretend convictions and react and/or react in relation as hurt victim predators only they realized to all areas. And that's to the maintenance of itself. And what it needs now is the next phase, and which is the what agrees as opinion natures and not as fact treatment nature. It's a big difference because opinion. This is opinion. We'll also understand correlation nature. Correlation, ratiocination needs science to determine a name for when we're right about what is God always, that is unchanging, and what is the God that we're using as a correlation nature to discuss. In other words, for what is right, what is wrong, what's going to cause positive value nature progressions or negative value nature progressions. No environmental change. See, they're forcing monolithic predator fact treatment natures with convictions that we should make fact treatment saying that environmental change means negative. In other words, there's no justification of what it won't let correlation in the cities and to people of every color, especially the darker skin, especially in relationship to religion too. In our face, it's not being let demonstrate its subject, which is about criminal reengineering of ancient revelations, which is about criminal reengineering of ancient Campus Marcius, which is about criminal reengineering of the originally revealed nature of internation sciences, which is about real sophistication, which is about not knowledge because they follow some the pathology. They know some things, the most facts or whatever like that. Right in our face, they don't have correlation defended for American history, for every science, including especially pseudo healthcare, recorded, originally progressed as a main function to internation fact treatment, breaching, cultivation from a propagated base for the shared fake identity, for shared police market positions, which is tactically ulterior from natural value nature system, which the only natural one, which is three ways at the same time, inherently, actively, and progressively. This body of correlation, metaphysics. They brought everything to. They criminally re-engineered the stewards of the sciences as criminal insidiousness nature. I'm not even a lawyer. We're going to see how the sciences share an identity within that as English, as the value of English as a nature, as fact treatment nature, inherently, actively, and progressively. Value all coming right to left. Value all as the value of Allah. We'll see how this is used to teach. At the same time as value and coming left to right at the same time, and as the value within the range of the nature, which is value A and N. Those are the indefinite articles. The definite article is the. That's the definite article in relationship to a conversation about nature, of identity of value. This is English's course. Every science, of course, the way is one. If let begun. There are countless means, and So what we're gonna do too, we'll talk about this. We're gonna make a lot of a bit like we'll see.